if you are a mediator using a procedural strategy approach, you have more muscle. You have more muscle into this process. You can set agenda. You can set the process. You can even suggest the solution of the discussion. Right. The other one we call directive is a kind of the strategies that the U.S. use when the U.S. mediate conflict between Israel and Egypt during the Jimmy Carter. What we call directive is that it kind of have a project that these two parties can engage together, and the U.S. spend about billions of dollars into that kind of incentive that offer to both parties. So you must also offer some incentive, some kind of money into this mediation thing. Like Jimmy Carter offered to have both Egypt and Israel some amount of money to go that they can use for infrastructure upgrading project or anything that they think going to be beneficial for their country, their own country. That's why both countries welcome the mediation by the United States, because they get something, they get some money, they get some assistance that beyond just come together and sign the agreement, they get something else. But that help the US to be able to direct, that's why it's called directive, to direct the outcome of the conflict of the mediation that the US engage into, right? So if you bring in the money, you bring in more initiative, more assistance, it's likely that both parties gonna follow your suggestion. So that we call directive, right? So if you're a mediator or you study mediation scenario, you can see that the mediator will use these three basic approaches when they try to engage into mediation, right? Directive, procedural, or communications-facilitation, right? It depends on the skills of mediators and also what the two conflicting parties want also, right? So this thing, every factors it get into consideration, and the strategy will be selected, right? Both by the mediator and also the conflicting party. So these three types. Okay, so maybe I would like to dedicate this 20 minutes on the discussions on these issues that are very important as well about bias, right? We already talked about tasks of mediator. They do that facilitation, communication, or whatever, directive, procedural. And also we talk about hidden agenda of mediator, right? But one more thing, what do you think about bias? Some people said that when you choose mediator, you should choose a party without any bias, without any prejudice, the party that's so neutral to the conflict. Let's say there's two camps that discuss about mediator bias into mediation process. One camp talk about pro-neutrality. The party that get involved into the scene as mediator should be completely impartial, neutral. But some scholars said that, if you get mediator that become impartial, impassive, or neutral, sometimes it's not really good for the conflict. You need to have mediator that somehow have bias towards one party, right? So that the outcome of mediation will be better than you have the party that's so neutral. For example, in my case, in Thailand case, maybe if you are pro-neutrality, you will select Switzerland. You will select Norway. Norway and Switzerland maybe have nothing to do with Malayu Muslim or Thai state. They are far away country that perceived as friend also, but not really get involved so much. But if you think that bias maybe should be the issue, should be something that gonna create positive outcome, Maybe you choose Malaysia. Malaysia share ethnicity with Malayu Muslim in the south of Thailand, right? So maybe they are more towards, go for their brother, Muslim brotherhood or some kind. So that's a bias involved already. So in your case, what do you think? If somebody would like to be a mediator, you should choose someone with neutrality or someone with a little bias. It's just a question that maybe I would like to throw in and then have you discuss on this. Right? Whether bias is important for mediation or it should be kept off the board, off the scene. What do you think? I hope you guys still awake. Yeah. For example, let's say, in the case of bias, we have this conflict between Iran and United States that start in 1979 until 1981. It's a hostage crisis, right? Suddenly, a group of students, Iranian students, climb into the U.S. embassy in Tehran, in Iran, in Tehran, and it hold hostage about 60, almost 70 U.S. staff, embassy staff, right, hold hostage, right? At that time, because many people, the Iranian, they are upset with the policy, U.S. policy that get involved too much in their own internal affair, and then they're so upset about the mission or the strategy that the U.S. use in their foreign policy. Somehow, this issue about Shah, the Sultan, also that get to migrate to the U.S. and then something like that, and then leave political turmoil in the country. So they hold hostage about 66 United States embassy staff, and this hostage situation lasts about 14 months with eight staff of U.S. embassy die in the desert of Iran, get killed or get there, and then it's very long and tiring negotiation, and at the end they asked that time also Jimmy Carter and then this Iranian president, that time they asked Algeria, small country that very close to Iran, to serve as mediator. The US also agreed that okay, Algeria should serve as mediator, but US have no relationship with Algeria, but it allowed Algeria to mediate conflict, this hostage situation, because it believed that with the close tie between Algeria and Iran, Algeria can somehow influence Iran to release the hostage, to follow or to listen to the U.S. Proposal on this regard. And at the end of the 14 months, the outcome is okay. The Iran listened to Algeria and somehow also accept some of the solution proposed by United States. So it considered to be one of the most successful, and the bias of course, Algeria have bias towards Iran, but the U.S. allow Algeria to mediate the conflict, right? Thinking that it's going to be beneficial to the conflict scene, right? So it turned out to be good, right? So this kind of case show us that bias also sometimes very important. If at that time the U.S. choose Switzerland to mediate the conflict, Switzerland has no relationship with Iran and also have a distant relationship with the U.S. Of course, it passed the test of neutrality, become the neutral state, neutral to mediate conflict. But we cannot say that the Switzerland can have influence over Iranian population, the student groups or the group that create this conflict, this hostage, right? We cannot be sure about influence of the Switzerland in this scenario. right? That's why the US go for Algeria, which is a close Muslim country that close to Iran, and they have connection for so long, and then they can somehow come up with a possible solution that acceptable to Iran side and also acceptable to the US. So that's example of how we talk about neutrality, we talk about bias, but in the debate about mediation, people split into two views, whether you should find mediator with neutrality or you should find mediator with bias, little bit of bias, right? So now I want to ask you, what do you think? Let's say if we set the scene like Thailand case in this mediation effort, what do you think? Who do you think? Now we have Malaysia serve as facilitator, not mediator, facilitate, bring people together, find the time to them to have coffee, drink, and then, kind of confidence building, have them work together, chit chat and all the things, build relationship. But if you, as somebody that can influence the policy of Thai state or this kind of conflict transformation, who do you think should serve as mediator? And whether it should be a neutral party or party with bias? Help me think a little bit. We have about 10 minutes, so I would like to listen to all of you if possible. Right? Yep. What do you think? Is Malaysia still the best candidate in this scene as mediator? Or we should find somebody else, Switzerland, or who else? You have Johan Gautung come in, or we want to have Vietnamese or Vietnam jump in, or we want to have Cambodia or Singapore. What do you think? Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. In my opinion, this is we can say this is the conflict. As you mentioned before, the conflict have the land conflict and religion, also the race conflict, right? Thailand is, I think, we have religion conflict, including this one, and the land, also the land, right? After that, the race, and many people. That's why if we try to find the people who come to be a moderator or mediator, right? Mediator. I think we should have to choose the people who have the religion the same like Northern Thailand people, like Malaysia, because Malaysia most of them are Muslim. That's why if those kind of people come to talk something, I think the people in not southern Thailand, right? They also speak the same language, I think that they will listen. And if we choose another country, we have to choose the country that's the organization that they have the culture quite similar with Muslim, like this, in my opinion. Yes.
Yeah. And you're afraid Malaysia, of course, you think Malaysia have bias?
I am not sure, because I think it's Malaysia, in my opinion, because Malaysia is really close to Thailand, right? They also, in my opinion, I'm not sure they support or not. They have the support. For example, in Thailand, right? In Thailand also some ethnic group also we very close to Thai. If we have conflict in Myanmar and Thailand, if we ask Thai to go to talk, I think it's quite a little bit difficult. Because Thai also, Malaysia, I believe Malaysia also, even the government not support, maybe the another people also support. have involved with the conflict in Thailand a little, I think.
Better choice than Myanmar, right? Because Myanmar maybe Myanmar close to us as a Buddhist country.
Oh yeah, the conflict in Myanmar is not. We have race and land, only two, race and land. But in Thai we have three. That's why I think the situation a little bit different. And sometimes when religion not involved, maybe a little bit a little bit easier to solve sometimes. The monk or the group of monks can talk something and they will stop.
In the South Thailand, we cannot say it's a religious conflict, but it's just because the two conflicting parties are of different religious affiliation. That's why some of the insurgent group, they try to play out these kind of differences between the two group of people. But if you look into the essence of the conflict itself, it's not about religion, it's political, it's ethnic and political. Like you mentioned about the land, they want to separate, become new country. That political issue of governing, of sovereignty, right? And also they talk about ethnicity, like between one ethnic group have a lot more than the other group. Minority group has been sidelined, has been discriminated. So actually it's not really about religion, but it's just because the two groups belong to different religion. That's why they play to this sentiment of like differences, tension going on between the two. But actually, it's political and also it's ethnic conflict for the South Thailand. Of course,
I want to say something.
Okay.
Actually, religious master.
Can you turn on the camera?
Sorry, my internet is not good. So
okay, sure.
Religious master should not be involved with political issue like the moderator. What is the third person? Again, as we say, is one of the third person of the between the two countries or the two person. Okay, so religious master should not become involved with that because also is against with the Vinaya. And however, the political issue should be the can make the peace with the moderator is totally the no need to take the one position, should be in the middle with the listening the both situation, and they give the as the judgment just give the right answer, what is the true and what is should be do both of countries. Okay, so third person cannot be take a side what is the relation with their country or political issue. Like the suppose if you see in present situation, if you see USA and Israel, they are good relation, but they do not have the relation with the Gaza or Palestine, the Muslim country who is the in Middle East. Or so why do you know USA providing the all weapon to the Israel? Okay, so usually he will take the support of Israel. Okay, and Iran and others country, China or Russia, they are providing the weapon to the Gaza. Okay, or Libya, like that, the Islam country. So they are totally taking the support of them. So if you invite those political master in the as a mediator, so it will be totally is go to the one side. Okay, is totally you cannot find the peace of there. But you can do like that if that both are adjust own self. Okay, then they bring is the other country as a mediator who is the not involved with their country any relation. okay, by the weapon providing or any financial providing. So then it will be the right answer. What is the they have to take the real path, okay, real result. Otherwise, you cannot make the peace in the world, okay.
Yeah.
Everyone try to benefit themselves, okay.
Yes.
So
That's
it doesn't matter who is the religious master, who is totally is different with the political and religion, okay. Religion is doesn't bring in the politics. If you bring the religion in the politics, it will be the fight, it will be not peace in the world, okay. So
yeah.
in my opinion, I think if suppose Thailand and Myanmar, if they have the conflict with each other, so at first should bring the others country who is not relation with both of country. Suppose if you go the debate, obviously Russia and China, because now present day US already left from the Myanmar. Okay, now is the providing the weapon or everything from the China and Russia. They both are the taking the Myanmar side. But if you bring in the Thailand, China also will be helped, and Korea will be helped to the Thailand. But if like that, you have to making the moderator is two countries, okay. So it's one cannot be possible now. If one possible, so it will be take the one side, not the both.
Yeah, but that's why we will try to present the case that sometimes it's difficult when you have mediator that come with the kind of position that they obviously you see that they're taking side of one party. That's why in the case of Israel and Palestine conflict, you have the United States will never really gain the kind of success in mediation. That's why we need to form a team, a kind of group of mediator, bring in more country to get, to have a say and to mediate the task. But for Thailand, that's why I said mediation is a kind of voluntary act, like the disputant will seek third party to get involved. So it depends on the agreement. Whether in Thailand case, they found that Malaysia will serve better as mediator, as facilitator than Switzerland, because Malaysia can influence the insurgent people that have the same ethnicity, the same religion. Right? That's why we go for Malaysia, right? But maybe open to option. Maybe we can have a group of mediator that work together, can solve various issue at the same time. But so far, they think that the Thai state need the influence of Malaysia to influence the insurgent Malayu Muslim group, right? Because they cannot talk directly with them, and they hope that Malaysia can help them to talk to that people.
Yeah, that one can be possible in the Asia, because they are the totally in ASEAN country, okay. He is moderator as can host by the Malaysia, because he is the another part of the relation with religion. If you see the religion, because Myanmar and Thailand is totally the Buddhist, okay. If you bring the Malaysia, so then it's okay. But if you bring the others country like the Western countries, suppose in Afghanistan now present day, is actually, if you say it firstly, the from the beginning, the USO will be would be going to the continuous doing the moderator, okay. But US mostly if you see the historically, mostly US making the war with the country. Do you know? USA making the war inside the country. Why? Because they are earning something from there.
Yeah, you look at the war in Iraq, so they get
ông này ông chuyên đề vô ông công kích giáo viên.
Sorry, somebody forgot to switch off the microphone. Of course, the United States have its own agenda in everything they're going to do, right? So,
yeah, they're making the violence actually.
Yeah, they make the world become.
If not only is present day now, if you see that Taiwan and China, okay, suppose Taiwan has their right, own individual right, but if you see Thailand and Taiwan and China, they can making how to say, they can come to the what is the solution. But if you bring the USA will be, because USA have the power, because everyone bowing to them, who is the has the more money and the weapon support. Okay, so we are afraid, actually. We are afraid, not we cannot say our word very how to say, openly.
Yeah, sure.
So that is why we bring that country to as a moderator, because they suppose Taiwan is more less than power from the China, so they need support from USA. So that's why they bring as a moderator. Why? If something wrong, USA will support. So it is one part of one side. It is bring to the one side. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is not the peace. Real peace you cannot find.
Yes, I agree.
Real peace inside you, man. Your peace, you are, how to say, you are out of the war, out of the conflict. Okay. So he's
Thank you, Honorable. And let me remind you that for this module, for the 5 times I teach you, you need to write reflection. What you said just now, very interesting. You can put in your reflection. You need to select 2 topics that I teach you. We have 5 topics, right?
No, I will try,
and
but
write reflection on that. Okay. I want to have. I wish we have more time to talk about that. But if you since already 11:05 and you need to have your lunch, so maybe you jot down, put in your reflection note, that send it to me later on. It would be great, right? Okay, thank you so much. I wish that we can have more time to discuss, but because it's already 11:05, I already take time for you. Okay, so maybe we see each other if possible this Saturday, 9 o'clock, right?
Saturday.
Okay.
How about next week, right, then?
Can you go and discuss among yourself which day you can have
This week.
This week.
Yeah. Saturday.
Oh, Honorable Donna?
Yes, Saturday.
Morning.
You can, I think some of the